Hi there, everybody. Sarah Grace here with my cat Polly. I'm wanting to talk to you today about bees. Have you ever taken a walk or been outside playing and you found something and you wanted to bring it home and investigate it? That's what happened to me. I was taking a walk and I found a dead bee on the road and I picked it up and it looked so interesting. I wanted to bring it back and learn more about it and talk to you about it because Wednesday is Earth Day. And we know that bees are super important for the earth. Bees are essential for growing certain foods like almonds and raspberries and apples, and we would all be really sad if we didn't have those around. My cats won't leave this bee alone. In fact, Olive stole the bee earlier. All right. So this is the bee that I found earlier. All right. Here's the bee. Now, I'm not actually sure what kind of bee this is. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this. I'm trying to focus my little phone camera as well as I can, but you notice all of these hairs coming off of the bee. All of this yellow is hair. There's hairs back here. Look, you can see the stinger down here. Look at all those hairs. Did you know that bees were so hairy? In fact, their eyes are also hairy. All insects have three main body regions: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. This back part's the abdomen. And unlike vertebrates, insects do not have a skeleton. They don't have bones. They have an exoskeleton, which is like a hard outer shell to keep them safe. Here on the head is the antenna. There's one antenna here and one antenna here. There, you can see it sticking out right there. And they have two types of eyes. There is the ocelli, which is tiny eyes on the top of the head used to detect motion. We can see the compound eyes much better here up in the front. Compound eyes are like having hundreds or thousands of eyes in one. And also on the head are the mandibles. See if I can. Hard to see them. I actually think this bee's proboscis, which is its tongue, is sticking out. I think this is the bottom of it right here. Interesting. The proboscis is sticking out of its mouth, and then its mouth parts are called the mandible. It has two types of wings, the forewing and the hind wing. So you see two on each side. And three types of legs. It has the front legs up here, the middle legs, and the back legs. I'm holding on to one of the back legs with the tweezer. And then, of course, there's the stinger right there. See if I can get a little closer. Bees move pollen, making it possible for plants to grow the fruit and seeds they need to reproduce. Plants actually want the bees to do this, so this ends up being a win-win situation. Plants give bees some nectar and pollen, and in return, the bees share the pollen around for the plants to reproduce. This is called pollination. When a bee lands on a flower, the pollen sticks to its body because a bee is actually really hairy, which you saw. Even its eyes are hairy. They're actually covered in 3 million hairs specifically for collecting pollen. The bee uses brushes on its front legs made from its hairs and wipes the pollen off its eyes and antenna, kind of like windshield wipers. It also cleans the pollen off its mouth part, and as it does this, it mixes it with some saliva and a little nectar or honey that it carries around in a kind of stomach called a crop. Then the bee uses brushes on its front, middle, and hind legs to move the pollen, like a conveyor belt, from the front legs to the middle legs to the back legs. As it flies from bloom to bloom, the bee combs the pollen really quickly and moves it into baskets on its hind legs. Each pollen basket, called a corbicula, is a concave section of the hind leg covered by hairs that bend over and around the pollen. But honeybees don't just move pollen from plant to plant. They also keep a lot of it for themselves. Older female adult bees collect pollen and mix it with nectar or honey as they go along, then carry it back to the hive and put it in cells next to the larvae, which are the baby bees. This stored pollen is the bee bread, and it's the colony's source of protein. The honey that we enjoy so much isn't actually made from the pollen. It's made from the nectar from the flowers. So maybe you would like to learn more about bees. There's lots of different jobs that the bees do. There's nurses, there's janitors, there's foragers, and they have these jobs at different times in their life. So maybe you'd like to do some more research about that. Maybe you'd like to research honey and beekeeping and how that's done. Maybe you'd like to make a chart of the parts of a bee and label it. There's also lots of different types of bees. There's leafcutter bees, there's mason bees, there's honey bees. So you might be interested in finding out the differences between them. They don't all have the same life cycles, and they have different jobs. And a lot of their characteristics depend on where in the world they live. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I look forward to seeing what you do with it. Bye!
Olive, this is my bee. Hey, this is my bee. Hey, no. Hey, leave my bee alone. Hey, that's my bee. Hey, no!